Welcome back to the channel, and today we have something a little bit different. Unfortunately, this isn't the best interface to do this on, but I would like to play a little bit of MTG. So we start up mono green Tron against opponent who fetches a wooded foothills for a forest. He slams an arboreal grazer, finds a stomping ground tapped, and he will pass the turn to me. Upkeep and draw. I find not what I'm looking for, a little bit of a risky hand for myself, so I go down the route of Chromatic Star for an extra draw and potential stirrings to find a second land. Opponent slams the Wrenn 6 on the battlefield, which is a bit worrying. He also has third land. He passes it back to me. I untap, upkeep and draw, main one. I do not find what I'm looking for, so I crack the star for green to draw another card to give me one more look at it before I stir. And I find the power plant, so instead of stirrings, my plan now changes to the Sylvan Scrying in my hand to go find the Urza's Tower. Pass to the opponent. He goes and gets a Catcher's Triumph. Opponent is thinking this one out, finds his fourth land in the Wooded Foothills he played on turn 1. Now he has a Dryad, found Dryad. So now all of his lands are all basic land types, and he can play an additional land. Untap, upkeep, and draw. We find a relic, so we are going to attack his graveyard with Wrenn 6 on the battlefield, while simultaneously putting a threat on the battlefield in Wurmcoil. Passing back to the opponent, he goes and grabs a Cinderglade. But during his turn, I activate Relic on him. He finds a Dwarven Mine for a dwarf. Then opponent plays Escape to the Wilds. Interesting, he gets 5 cards in the exile. So I exiled the Windswept Heath, and I do not think he meant to do it on purpose, but I think he plays the Windswept Heath from the graveyard. Yeah, he plays the Windswept Heath, even though I exiled it, which I do not think that was intentional. It was in the exile. That's fine. We didn't catch it on spot. Plays an Explore for extra card draw. Finds Search for Tomorrow on suspend. After that, the opponent land. So he is outracing me at this point. I need something fast. So here we are just going to stirrings to try to find a threat. Oh, right there, right, yeah. So we look at the top 5 cards of our library, and we pick a colorless card. I find an Ugin the Spirit Dragon to the hand. Fortunately, can't windmill that bad boy just yet. But what I can do is I have an option to the second Wurmcoil and map, or second Wurmcoil and card draw. And I think I choose card draw. Yeah, I choose card draw. I wanted more to the hand. I needed stuff to do for the next few turns. Find my second Ugin, which wasn't really worth it. Try to attack Wrenn 6, but my pure intention is life gain here. He blocks. I gain my 6 life. Not a big deal. go on and end the turn. Opponent untaps with a massive land army, slams the prime time, and through a little bit of misunderstanding, I end up losing this game. Initially comes down with 12, and I just wanted to see 4 lands. I also thought there had to be 4 mountains, but then I realized he had Dryad on the battlefield, so it just any 4 lands would do. On to game 2, but my sideboard plan is I take out a Karn, a Wormcoil, and a Relic for 2 Nature's Claims and a Weather the Storm. Probably a little bit of an error on the sideboard plan, but we're going to run it. So we are on the play, and we find a turn 3 Tron with this hand. We have 2 Wormcoils to back it up, so we have turn 3 Tron, we have 2 threats. We certainly kept that hand. Turn 2, after opponent just puts a Search for Tomorrow on suspend, we hold up map with the power plant and a mine to show opponent we mean business. Opponent cracks a Wooded Foothills, grabs a Stomping, finds the Wrenn and 6, puts the land back in his hand. I crack Expedition Map to go find the tower before he ends his turn, and I untap and draw. Now I could either put map or set up for Thragtusk next turn, and I figure if I get to slam a Wormcoil this turn and slam a Thragtusk next turn, that is 11 life, which may or may not be good enough, but it will do one thing for sure, and that will buy me some time. Opponent Search comes off of suspend. He also finds the Dryad, which is a huge problem. We need to get the Dryad off the field. He has the additional land drop as well. I untap draw, go to main phase 1. Now, I want to thin the deck and then draw is my plan, but I also want a permanent green source just in case I run out of eggs. So I tried to attack the Wrenn and 6, forgetting that he could just go get the Dwarven Mine. Keep forgetting that thing's a mountain. He blocks, but I still get to gain 6, so you win some, you lose some. For my next move, I'm going to play and crack the Expedition Map. Going to find a permanent green source instead of a utility land, because I would like to play my green spells. I have a lot of sideboard package in here with green. I'm going to use the green now to draw an extra card because I don't particularly need the star anymore. I find another star. Not a problem. We have a green source and 4 colorless, just enough for the Thragtusk. He slams. I gain another 5, up to 31. Then I pass the turn back to the opponent. Opponent, end of turn, cycles a Sheltered Thicket, and untaps, draws, heads on to his first main phase. So he's going to return a land to his hand and play it. He finds an Elder here, which isn't exactly the end of the world. I'm not that afraid of it. It's a big boy. He can block my Wormcoil, but overall, I still have a lot of firepower in my hand. He definitely bought himself a little bit of time, so I decided to run out both of my eggs, and I'm going to draw some cards here. So we are going to crack the Sphere first, I believe. We're going to have a colorless and a green. Oh, we cracked the star first. Draw a card. We use the colorless now to add a green mana from the Sphere. Draw a card. We find Ugin, which the only risk here was an Ulamog. We wouldn't have been able to play an Ulamog. So we windmill slam this Ugin. And then we neg 5 to exile all permanents converted mana cost 5 or less with 1 or more colors, which does throw my Thragtusk under the bus, but he has already served the purpose I slammed him for, which was the 5 life. Plus, I get the token because it states leave the battlefield and not destroyed, sent to graveyard, etc. So now I try to attack in. I think I have opponent down to 10, but he catches me with a Force of Vigor, which is fine. More bodies to the battlefield, not even worried. 2 worm tokens. Good play by the opponent. Completely forgot that was an option for his sideboard. Passing the turn. Opponent untaps with 6 mana. I still have not seen Escape Shift, but he does find a Dryad, which is an issue. He has both land drops as well, but that is all he has, and he has no cards in hand, so that is fairly good for us. We are probably going to just run away with this game now. I am trying to figure out how I'm going to stage this, so I would like to just attack with the boys for 9, and I believe he just takes it. He takes it, so now I can gain my 3 life, main phase 2, bolt him with Ugin. But as I am trying to set the counters to 4 to bolt him, opponent has decided that that was enough and we are going to game 3. I decide my sideboard plan is okay and I will keep it. We are on the draw, which is a little bit of a hesitation, but I find the new card of the deck, the Maze Mind Tomb, and I also find Karn the Great Creator, which I was ecstatic for because I have some wishboard cards that can help me out in this matchup on turn 3. Opponent suspends a Search for Tomorrow for his first turn. I run out the Urza's Power Plant into the Chromatic. I have turn 3 Tron Bruin. Opponent boldly plays a Valakut and shows me the Valakut early. He has the Arboreal Grazer, has the second land, and that's fine. I will crack the star to get an extra look before I make a decision. Find permanent green source, which is really good. So we're going to run this Sylvan Scrying out and go find my Urza's Mine. After I put the Urza's Mine into the reveal zone, we will put it into the hand, pass it back to the opponent. Opponent has Search come off of Suspend, goes and gets a Mountain. So at this point he is looking for mountains and or the Dryad. The Dryad is probably my worst enemy, and then he plays another Valakut, so he is looking for his Dryad. I untap, I find another tower, so I have almost double the Tron now. So I'm going to slam Karn the Great Creator, and we had a little bit of a misunderstanding, for I asked if Sorcerer's Spyglass could stop the triggers of Valakut, but after further inspection, we have clarified that Valakut is a triggered ability and not a activated ability. So I went and grabbed Torpor Orb to prevent Prime Time from being slammed on the table. He currently has no way to deal with my Karn, so I have potentially another look at my wishboard. Opponent hard casts a Search for Tomorrow, finds the Dwarven Mine, gets his dwarf. I find another tower, so I look at my wishboard. I would like to prevent my life total from going down, so I grab a Witchbane Orb. I lose all curses, hexes, and I gain Hexproof. I'm gonna slam that bad boy. We're gonna Ghost Quarter one of the Valakuts. for I do not want my life total to ever be touched. And then we're going to slam the new card of the deck, the Maze Mind Tomb. It's my first time using Maze Mind Tomb in an actual game. So the dwarf comes in and takes care of Karn the Great Creator, which is fine, as expected. Yeah, he escaped to the wilds. He finds a Vesuva, so he can copy his Valakut. Comes in tapped. Also pulls the forest. He didn't have 2 land drops, I think. Does not matter. So we will scry at the end of his turn. We're going to move Thragtusk to the bottom for it is too slow. We are looking for removal now. I meant to do the same thing on my upkeep, but instead I'm just going to have to settle for paying 2 to draw an extra card. With Weather in the Storm. Weather the Storm in my hand, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We find a Wormcoil Engine, and the only play I have at this point, due to the fact that I forgot to scry, is to just slam the Wormcoil. So he has a Primetime and a Glorybringer, but I did not expect the Force of Vigor to knock out both of my sideboard cards. That was a monumental change of momentum for the opponent. Now he can start really picking at my life total. My battlefield was always at stake, but my life total is sacred. He goes and finds a Field of the Dead and a Kethra's Tomb, and he uses his Valakut triggers to kill my worm. Understandable. Gaining 6 life is pretty rough to deal with when you're trying to weed that life total down. Opponent makes a bunch of zombies. Has Primetime, has Dwarf. It's not looking good for me. It's not looking good for me. So we are going to untap, upkeep. We're going to scry this time. And we find the Ancient Stirrings. And after a few moments of thought, I believe that that is the right choice, because I can play Forest. I can stir for any threat and play any threat off of the stirrings. So we do just that. We look at the top 5 cards of our library, looking for an Ulamog, and sure enough, he's in that stack of 5. So I reveal the Ulamog. We put those cards to the bottom in a random order. And we windmill slam that bad boy right on the table. This is a monumental shift of momentum back towards the Tron guy. And after some thought, I decide that the Valakuts are the best targets, because he wants to hit my life total now. He got rid of my life link to outrace me, and now I have an Ulamog and a 2-turn clock. He has 38 cards in his deck, so that's 2 attacks with Ulamog's static ability. I don't think he has a way to get Ulamog off this table. He has to just try to block him. So, my opponent attacks right into the Primetime, going to get a Ghost Quarter and a Windswept Teeth. Tries to get some more zombies. So I want 2 cards. I can play any threat. I have my biggest threat on the battlefield, so I know I have the 2 mana to take the extra cards. I would like to build up storm counters to ensure that I can cast a Weather the Storm for a tremendous amount. But I don't want to reveal that I have a power plant, because he has the Ghost Quarter. So we're going to draw, and we find a Walking Ballista, which is huge. With 12 mana, we can play a Walking Ballista on 6, block, get rid of 3 of his zombies, and clear the way for Ulamog to finish this game. And this is exactly what we do. We pay 12 mana to slam this Walking Ballista on the battlefield for 6. Once that walking ballista is on the battlefield for 6, I try to attack. I am not sure if I want to attack with just the Ulamog and keep the army up, but that is what I end up doing because I'm trying to deck my opponent out, and he decides that is too much. Thank you for watching.